How's it going, guys? Today we'll be revealing the long-awaited ATLAS Suspenders. In this video we'll be going over the design, features, sizing, setup, use tips, and a lot more. But let's get into the why for these suspenders. Belt loadouts can get heavy, especially when on thinner pistol belts where the mission requires a lot of equipment to be carried. Even when belts are not overly laden, they can rotate or sag, and a good set of suspenders can help alleviate these issues. Current options on the market were either too bulky or not compatible with our belt or other belts, restricted movement, didn't sit well under a plate carrier, or were just not made in the US, which is important to us. So we sought out to make a slick suspender that would carry the load a bit better, be unnoticeable under a plate carrier or other layers, and integrate into our Usurper belt as well as other belts out there. The ATLAS suspenders are constructed of a thin but robust laminate and webbing in a Y shape. We chose the Y shape, or 3 points, so that the back strap would be centered on the spine, between the back muscles and most plate carrier ventilation pads. So you wouldn't have it digging in or causing added friction, which is a possibility with a 4-point harness or suspenders. 4-point harnesses and suspenders have their merit with dedicated patrol belts and heavier loads, and those loads need more stabilization. However, our goal with the ATLAS is to have this as slick as possible under a plate carrier and for it to assist a medium to lightweight belt load. The shoulder straps feature hexagonal ventilation cuts so as not to absorb too much sweat or water, and these holes can double as shock cord lashing points if you want to run this rig standalone and want to put a PTT up here or anything else. At the ends of the front straps are tri-glides for sizing and metal ovals for locking into the Usurper V2. On the rear is another tri-glide for additional sizing. Included with the suspenders are 3 3/16 thick shock cord lengths. With that covered, let's get into how to mount this. To mount it, you'll just take the front end of your sleeve and the front end of the suspender, take it, fold it into a triangle so that the ring is covered, slide it under the webbing on the front inner side, and use a tool to push it down through till it peeks out on the other side. Grab that, pull it through, and undo the fold. From there, you'll pull out the slack, and it is now locked in. You'll do this to the other side. When making adjustments, it does help to pull this back out so that you can actually have a little bit of slack to play with and then lock it back into position. On the rear, you'll take one of the shock cord pieces and run it through the centermost vertical stitch of the centermost 2 MOLLE slots. Have a loop at the top created and a knot at the bottom. Depending on how large of a loop you create will determine how much stretch you get out of the center webbing. We recommend keeping this loop pretty small so that the webbing barely passes through without too much resistance, and then run the webbing through it, through your tri-glide, and back through to secure it. If you have the Usurper V1 and want to use the ATLAS suspenders, you can take the shock cord and tie it to the front 2 points of your V1 outer belt, make a small knot, and then use this to run your webbing through it. Or you can use a second method, which is a bit more of a DIY method that can also work, and that is to use G-hooks. And you can take these, add a bit of elastic band right there that you may have, 1 inch, take a set of G-hooks, and you can route these through the holes made over here, or the loops, and then you can take the elastic and port it over so that it covers up the entrance of the G-hook. And that means that when it doesn't have pressure on it, it doesn't come loose, as G-hooks work only when there's pressure put on them, and that opening could slide out when there's no pressure. So you're closing it off with an elastic band. You could also use tape if you have spare G-hooks and don't have a elastic band from a compression strap or the sort. So there are 2 ways to mount this to the V1 Usurper belt. For other belts out there, like this Battle Belt Light from our friends at Blue Alpha, you'll just use the same technique as that rear shock cord tie-off point, but in the front as well at 2 points of your choosing. So you can choose where it actually goes on your belt. We recommend making these fairly tight and then using the rear one to develop your actual flexibility. But this is compatible with pretty much any belt out there that has MOLLE or mounting points on the front as well. We chose shock cord for this application so that you can actually have a field repairable solution and that can be easily dialed. On the Usurper V2, it is easy to mount on the front and still requires that 1 piece of shock cord on the back, but this ultimately allows you to do what you want and have this mount to as many belts out there as possible. Now that the suspenders are mounted, we can size it. We recommend trying to get the junction of the 3 straps to rest between your shoulder blades. So it helps to tighten the rear strap first and then work on the front 2 to make sure that it all fits together. Use the tri-glides to make these adjustments and ensure they are symmetrical and of equal length on the front. Then take the excess and pass it back through the tri-glide and either stow it or trim the excess. That part's up to you. We recommend trying to get the tri-glides lower and closer to the belt so that they don't rest under your plate carrier, as this can result in friction points due to the stacked material and hardware. The ATLAS suspenders are a great tool for bearing the weight of not the world, but your belt kit for days on end. This tool continues our focus on making our customers last longer and focus more while tackling their own missions. The ATLAS suspenders will be available starting Friday, September 20th, alongside the Usurper V2, and will be offered in the professional 4 colors, multicam, kited brown, ranger green, and blackout launch. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment down below, DM us on Instagram, or email us at customerservice@shaw-concepts.com. If you'd like to check out any of our other offerings or learn more about Shaw Concepts, you can check us out at shawconcepts.com, Instagram, Twitter, or Telegram. Thanks for your time, and as always, conquer all.